for the next Zombie Island special Scooby-Doo.
Oh, the next Night of the Living Dead remake. That'll be a... My sciatica!
Is that a bug? Is that one that eats a bug off a tree?
Is that a bug? Is that a bug in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? Star Wars.
Oh, was that recorded?
Yeah. Hey, everybody, welcome to Screen Weens, episode 151, where we're going to be talking about Star Wars, the prequels.
Yes.
As always, I'm London, that's Thomas. We talk about movies or TV or cheeseburgers. And today we'll be talking about 3 movies, but first, as always, we're going to talk about our week. We're going to talk about what else we've done. Thomas, take it away. What have you done?
I saw Nope.
What'd you think?
I thought it was pretty good. Probably my second favorite movie of his.
Second favorite movie, no.
Second favorite movie of all time. Yeah. Get Out, still my number one. Then probably this. Then probably Us. Yeah. But I need to rewatch Us, and I'll probably rewatch this one once it hits streaming and such. But yeah, I'll probably rewatch Get Out too because I like that one. But I've seen that one like
40 times or 3.
Probably closer to like 5.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah,
I think I've only seen it once, maybe twice.
Yeah, no, I liked it. When I first saw it, I ended up just showing a bunch of people the movie and then watched it with them. So it's like, oh.
Fair.
Then I watched Star Wars, and then let's see, I watched Good Time.
That's a good movie.
It is. It is a good movie.
Not necessarily a good time.
Yeah, the title is quite ironic, but yeah, no, it's a good movie. It's the one where Robert Pattinson plays a piece of shit who leaves his brother behind after robbing a bank, and his brother gets arrested. So he basically just spends the rest of the movie trying to break his brother out. Yeah, it's a good movie, but if you like Uncut Gems, you'll probably like this. It's the same director. Not quite as like fun as Uncut Gems is. There's a lot less, I think, charisma that comes from the main character. But
yeah, he's like...
He's got less likable qualities than Adam Sandler's character in Uncut Gems. But still a good watch.
I think I like it slightly more than Uncut Gems, but they're pretty close to the same level for me.
Yeah, I think I like Uncut Gems a fair chunk more.
Okay. I think I need to just rewatch both of them, but it's kind of hard to like be in the mood. It's like, do I want to just be anxious for 2 hours?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I still need to watch that. All That Heaven Knows.
Oh yeah,
or whatever
something
it's called.
Like that, yeah. There's a couple of their movies that they've made earlier that I just haven't seen.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen The Black Balloon, so
that is true.
We covered it on the podcast.
That was them.
Yeah,
I forgot we covered that on the podcast too.
Classic.
Yeah, it is a classic.
We talked about a short film for like 10 minutes.
10 minutes, and I like our first like 25 episodes probably.
Yeah, let me check.
Yeah, that's an old one. Because I remember drawing the thumbnail for that one. Because it was balloons. I'm trying to think of what was paired with that one.
Paper Moon, The Black Balloon, and Birdman. Yes. It was episode 14.
All of which involved sky themes.
Yeah.
You got a bird, a moon, and a balloon, so...
Classic.
Old episodes are so random.
Yeah.
Remember when we did TMNT and Ghostmates?
Yeah.
Classic.
Now the most weird we get, like, in our selection is The Bag.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, it's the only one that's, like, truly random. Unless, I mean, one of us just decided to say fuck it and just pick 2 completely different movies. This week, we're going to be watching Trainspotting and one of the 3D Barbie movies.
Yeah, let's fucking go. I've thought about being like, it's a Barbie deep dive time.
I don't.
They're sick as hell.
I think my eyes would start smoking.
Some of them are pretty good. They're ugly because they're early CG, like made for TV specials, but some of them aren't actually bad.
I I don't think I've ever, like, I've seen bits and pieces of them over the years, but I don't think I've ever actually sat down and watched one.
You're kind of trying to convince me to watch like 5 of them.
Let's do Scooby-Doo or something.
That's fair. Scooby-Doo meets Barbie. Yeah. Let's see. What have I done? Was that what you did this week? Was there anything else?
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's see. I finished Days Gone, the video game I've been playing. At least the main campaign. I think I'm pretty much done. I don't really feel the need to like 100% it. I think the game's pretty good. Like, really enjoyable story. Some of the dialogue is a little like, what the fuck are they trying to say here? It feels like it gets a little too pro-authority later on, which is really weird because it's about a biker.
Yeah.
There's just some really weird lines.
That you need to rule with strong fist.
But overall, I think the gameplay is pretty good. I think some of the scavenging elements are a little bare bones. I feel like if they had made a sequel, the sequel would have been fucking sick, though.
Yeah, I think... Isn't like a sequel still on the table? I've heard...
Like there was plans, but like Sony never greenlit it because it just didn't make enough money for them. And,
yeah, I know it picked up like a pretty big cult following.
Yeah, I think it's a good game. I enjoyed my time with it. And I was like genuinely intrigued by the characters. I feel like most of the characters were pretty well written. But yeah, good game. Other than that, movies I watched. Let's see. I watched Bone, which is I think it was Larry Cohen's first movie. And that's the guy who did like The Stuff and Q and It's Alive, which I have not seen anything, but Bone was his first movie, and I watched that. It was like a black comedy about race and privilege and stuff, and I get what he's going for. I enjoy some of the themes in it, but it also just feels like it's written by a white guy in the 1970s.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how progressive you are, it might feel a little toned down. Well, actually, I don't know, because I feel like 12 Angry Men holds up pretty well for me.
Yeah.
I guess Larry Cohen just didn't... I guess because they're making it like a joke in some ways. And I'm like, you're not... I don't think the script is smart enough for this. I still think it's an enjoyable enough movie to watch. And I think it has like... I'm excited to see some of his other works because I feel like there are some editing choices and some directing choices that I'll see later on in his works that I'll be like, hey, I remember that in Bone. But it was fine.
Yeah.
What else did I watch? I did watch the new Lego holiday special, the Lego Star Wars Summer Special. And that was okay.
Yeah?
It was fine.
Well, good to hear.
Which is how I felt pretty much about all of them.
Yeah.
I think what's really funny is all of them have been introduced things that they could have made canon or they could do in a more serious project. And I'd be like, this is an interesting and cool idea. But they're just like kind of one-off little lines in these holiday specials. I'm like, okay, that's okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I watched a couple of new movies. I watched Bodies, 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 which is like the Gen Z Knives Out satire, whodunit, Pete Davidson. It's in theaters. It's like supposed to be like a satire on like late millennials, early Gen Z stuff, and it works. I think it's better than expected from like the trailer and from what I was expecting. I overall think I enjoyed it, but it's just watching an hour and a half of like the worst people you could possibly imagine. They're like so fucking annoying. So I mean, like I think it's relatively accurate for the most part, but I like don't ever want to fucking watch it because I was so annoyed watching it. But I'm like, it's good, and some of the sequences are really good, and some of it is very funny. But it's also like, wow, I was just really annoyed for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
The new Masaki Yuasa movie is out, Inuo, which is a anime film based on like historical tales. I thought it was fucking incredible. Like, it's number 5 for me of the year, I think, or number 4. I think it's right after The Batman for me. I loved it. I thought it was really good. I'm really sad that we went opening night in our theater and we were the only 4 people in the theater. Like, that's sad.
Yeah.
Because I want people to see other movies.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
But I thought it was really, really great. What else? Oh, I watched the new Jamie Foxx Netflix original film Day Shift. It was about vampires.
Yeah. No, I saw...
Dave Franco's in it.
I saw the advertisements for that.
I thought it was going to be like absolute garbage, and it was okay. It was watchable. The first action sequence in it is really, really good. And then everything else is like fine. So it was like, it's kind of hard to watch a movie when the peak's at the beginning. Some of it was funny. Some of it was not. I feel like my main issue with it is it feels like the support characters were written like a bunch more in the early drafts of it, and then they just forgot about them. Because it feels like they're trying to be like, oh, these people had such a big impact on you by then in the movie. And I'm like, they were in like one scene. It was fine though. I liked it. But you know what I saw yesterday in the theater? The IMAX re-release of E.T.
Oh.
And I haven't seen E.T. since I was a kid. And I remember not liking E.T. But rewatching it, holy fuck, I love that movie.
Yeah?
I thought it was great.
I haven't watched it in a good minute, but E.T.'s E.T.
I was like to the point that I was almost sobbing at points. I'm like, this is really sad.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that. I also didn't remember there was an older brother at all. And there was like the three of them. I'm like, yeah, it's Elliot and his sister. I forgot there was an older brother. And he's like a pretty main character.
Yeah.
No, but I really, really liked that movie. And it was gorgeous at IMAX. The like 4K restoration.
Yeah,
really good.
I went and saw like a re-release of that in theaters when I was like, had to have been like 5 or 6. Like I wasn't super old, but I remember seeing it because I remember thinking, I'm like, is this like a sequel to E.T.? Like, why are we at the theater? I have to stay home.
Well, I think it's 40 years old now, so I think that's what they did the IMAX for. I'm like, Jesus.
Oh, wow.
And it's so weird to look at Henry Thomas, because he plays Elliot in that, because I know him so well from, he's in like most Mike Flanagan stuff, and you can tell it's him. He literally just looks like it's shrunk down. And I was like, wow, this is a really weird difference in his career. But I think he's also pretty good for a child in like an acting in the 80s. I think he's pretty damn good in it.
I remember, from what I remember, yeah.
Like, he screams a lot in it, which is like kind of like, oh god, but
yeah.
Also, E.T.'s, he's cute. He's ugly, but he's cute. I like the way he waddles and he's like, ah.
Yeah.
Like his stupid little sounds. And then finally, I just watched Safety Last, which is it's coming up on 100 years old now. I think it'll be 100 next year. And it's really good. It's just about a guy who, like, kind of just is lying to his, like, fiance. He's like, no, I'm going to be really rich, don't worry. And he, like, moves to the city to get a big job. He doesn't do that. He gets, like, a small time job as, like, a salesman. But he convinces them, because his friend's a really good climber. He's like, my friend, I know a guy, he can climb this whole building. It's, like, 12 stories tall. And he's like, you just got to give us $1,000. And they were going to split it, and he would have been set for like a decent chunk of time with $500. But there's a police officer. There was some antics that went on earlier on in the movie, and this police officer's after his friend. So he's like, "Oh, just meet me up you just got to climb one floor. I'll meet you up there. I just got to lose this cop." And then it just kind of happens 12 times. He's like, no, just go to the next one. He's like, I'm almost there already. But what I didn't expect is I actually, like, my body felt nauseous watching it. Like, because a lot of the stunts were real. Yeah. And he's actually just hanging off the side of the building. And my body was like, oh, God. I was like, what the fuck? And I know if I was watching this in 1923, I would have been like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, a lot of the stunts that, like, those stuntmen did back then is just, like,
well, it's, like,
crazy.
There's a lot of really fun and, like, scary, like, big stunts in, like, Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin films.
Oh, yeah.
But this is him just climbing a building for, like, an hour. So it's just nonstop, like... And he gets, like, at one point, a mouse runs up his leg, and he's just like, whoa! And I'm like, ah! But yeah, that movie's really good. I think the setup takes a bit, which I have an issue with a lot of those, like, comedies from, like, around this era, is, like, the first 30 minutes are just not really attached to the rest of the movie, and they're just kind of doing, like, random antics. I'm like, it doesn't really feel cohesive, and I'm like, I would have just preferred this to be 40 minutes of just no fluff.
Mm-hmm.
But once they get into it, I think that movie's really, really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched the prequels. I was very drunk for episode 3.
Were you?
Yeah. I was semi-drunk for episode 2. Yeah. It was pretty righteous.
Well, I mean, if it makes you feel better, I was probably pretty high when I watched all 3 of them, so...
Well, I don't think it diminished, like, how much I was paying attention. I feel like, if anything, I was, like, captivated even more.
I see. Oh. But yeah.
All right. Are we ready to ask some questions?
Yeah.
Get some questions? Question number 1 from Pierre. What movie series would you like to completely erase from reality? I'm gonna be kind of a hater here, but Harry Potter for me.
Really?
Yeah, I like some of the movies, but I'm just like, the amount of power that the books and the movies have given to, like, J.K. Rowling and the money, I'm just like, no, you know what? No, because I like Daniel Radcliffe and his hair. This is a tough one.
Yeah, there's still a lot of decent stuff that came through the Harry Potter pipeline, despite it being run by, you know,
the worst. Yeah.
a turf.
But I also just, I'm being a hater because I like Star Wars, but I'm going to say I hate most Star Wars fans. But, like, Harry Potter fans, I'm so annoyed by so many of them. Honestly, most people in fandoms these days that are, like, really into fandoms, I'm just like, I don't want to talk to you about this thing. If you're passionate about something, that's great. But if that's your whole identity, I'm just like, I need to have a different type of conversation with you.
Yeah.
Like, I love Star Wars, but that's not every conversation I have. I try to be well-rounded.
Yeah.
And it's not like, if it's a hyper-fixation or something, that's fine. But I just, like, I need something else. I need a little more variety. But I could say, maybe the Hobbit movies?
Yeah, the Hobbit movies. Those be...
What?
That would be nice if those didn't exist.
The movie movies, like epic movie, a disaster movie. Let's go with those.
Yeah, those are pretty bad. There's a strong part of me that just wants to say the sequel trilogy. Just be like, get rid of it. Start again. Man, I wish they had gone off that. I don't even know what happens in it, but I know, like, George Lucas wrote them an outline.
The Wills, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like...
That was also... I've been thinking about making a video detailing my thoughts on just every possible sequel trilogy. Mm-hmm. So, like, the New Jedi Order sequel trilogy, the New Jedi Order sequels, so the books there, or the Heir to the Empire, or the Wills, the original outline, or... regular ones we got, or the regular ones we got, but episode 9 was the Duel of the Fates written by Colin Trevorrow, which I don't think would have been any better. I'm going to be honest. I think they both would have been fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Because the thing about that movie...
Ray builds, like, the...
Yeah, which is cool. I do like that. But that's the thing. Colin Trevorrow just is like, what would be cool here? And has no actual bearing on what the story would be.
Yeah. No, it's kind of the same thing JJ did, except I'd say JJ kind of missed out on what would actually be cool a lot of the time.
I'm pretty sure in the official, like, screenplay that they were writing for that, or this was a meme, but either way, I think it's funny either way, but there's a part where Hux is like, he was on his knees, and he looked up at the stars, and he realized one thing. He had lost the Star Wars. Which I think is really fucking funny. It would not have been funny if that was in the... Well, I mean, like, how are they going to put that in a movie? It was like...
It was be a narrator for one part.
He had lost the star.
Just real quick, they just do a real quick...
lost the Star Wars, yes.
Another title scroll. Just right there.
Yeah. Probably. LaQuisha. That's a single movie. Most of these series, I don't... Wrong Turn? Because in the remake wouldn't have been made either.
Yeah.
We still got to watch the rest of it. Do we? No. We don't have to do anything.
I don't think it would get anywhere near the amount
of clicks.
So it's like... Just people thought we uploaded the full movie.
Classic.
Yeah,
I don't.
I'm gonna say movies I wish didn't exist. Movie series. The D.W. Griffith Cinematic Universe.
I was gonna say, like,
I don't know.
Well, technically, I feel like
basically a series of.
I guess you could say Birth of a Nation, and then there's Intolerance was made specifically after, like, the backlash he got from some people. So I guess you could say that's like a pseudo-sequel, which I've heard Intolerance is actually, like, pretty great.
Well, I've also heard Birth of a Nation is pretty
Yeah, but I've heard
to some people,
Intolerance is pretty great from people that fucking hate Birth of a Nation. So maybe we're going to watch Birth of a Nation one day and you're going to be like, 3 clips.
Yeah, I'm sure the fucking filmmaking techniques that have been around for several decades since then will definitely fucking wow me.
Yeah. Was it? I feel like everything they say, it was a lie. That's not true.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't invent anything.
It didn't.
It just popularized things.
Yeah. I think what it's most commonly attributed to is being, like, the first blockbuster in a sense, because, like...
That's a pretty cringe thing to say about that movie.
Yeah.
Like, that's yikes.
Because it, like, sold a lot of tickets.
Yeah.
Screened at the White House, and
I love this movie. Yeah, when a president's like, oh yeah, this movie's great, it's usually not a good sign.
Yeah, especially when it's
was it Hoover?
No, it's not Hoover. It's Wilson.
Oh.
Wilson, who is like probably, honestly, might just possibly be the worst president that has ever ruled the United States.
It's pretty rough. There's a lot of rough ones.
There's a lot of rough ones, but he actively, like, reignited, like, the rebirth of the KKK in that era.
Him and Andrew Jackson just hanging out there.
He was like a fake historian who, like, just put out a bunch of, like, anti-Semitic garbage. And it was just like, yeah, he actively just made this country a worse place.
Classic.
Just like a lot of presidents.
Oh yeah. The FBI stuff. That's been going on this week.
That it has.
That's classic.
Yeah.
Real good. I probably could have called that one.
Yeah. I mean, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, question 2.
Question 2. I forgot we were even on question.
If you were a substitute teacher, what movie would you show a 7th grade history class?
Ooh. Well, I know in my 7th grade history class we watched Glory, so I wouldn't choose that.
I think I watched Lord of the Flies. My classmates watched 300, but I was a child, and I'm like, I'm not allowed to watch this.
Yeah.
And he asked me, is it because of your religious beliefs? And I said, no, I'm not allowed to watch rated R movies.
Yeah. Ridley.
And I'm like, how did he get away with that? How did the school let him do that?
Yeah, I guess if you just have a...
No, I was 6th grade.
I know that they got away with, like, showing rated R movies. Like, we had, like, this thing called Holocaust Week at my school.
Holocaust Week?
Yeah.
They called it that?
Yes.
Not like Remembrance Week or something?
No.
Holocaust Week.
Yeah. And basically it just amounted to, like, over the course of, like, 2 days, we would watch Schindler's List.
Never seen it. I've heard it's good.
It's a good movie. It's a sad movie.
It's also not... These types of movies you probably shouldn't show to kids, especially middle schoolers, because they're not mature enough for this type of...
Sophomores in high school. Which, I mean, honestly...
I guess you kind of roll the dice on that one. I think some kids, some sophomores would be mature. But especially in a school setting, like with your peers, you're not going to be mature enough.
I think no matter what grade you're in, I mean, with public school, you're rolling the dice.
Yeah.
So it's like, at a certain point, you're just like, well, we're going to have to try to teach them something. I mean, it'd be great if we had smaller classrooms and shit so you can get more focused learning, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. Not in this country. Anyway, the point being, yeah, we would watch Schindler's List, and then, then on the 3rd day, they would, like, bring in, like, an actual, like, Holocaust survivor. And he would just kind of tell his story, answer questions, stuff like that. But yeah, that was Holocaust week at my high school.
Cool.
Like, I came from this area, so of course it was handled so tastefully.
Yeah. Back to the question. I think I'd probably show them... I don't know. I'd probably want to show them something not super, like, bleak and something that could keep them engaged if I'm going to be a substitute, because I don't want them just yelling. Probably show them, like, Gladiator. I feel like that's a... Oh, 7th grade Gladiator might be too intense. You know what I remember seeing around that time? Last Samurai. Sure, let's do that one. No, I just do like Prince of Egypt. There you go.
Does it have to be like a legit, like historic?
No, it just, what would you show it? Hey, Paddington. There you go.
Okay. Just because I'd want to torture them, I'd probably show them like Barry Lyndon or something.
And there'd be one kid in the class who puts up his glasses and he goes, "What is this?" And you'd birth a cinephile. The most annoying, pretentious person on the planet.
Honestly,
my substitute history teacher showed me Barry Lyndon in 7th grade.
Honestly, I guarantee, like, they would all kind of, like, shit-talk it, but once they saw, like, in the beginning that it's kind of funny that he's trying to fuck his cousin, they would totally get into it.
I'd be like, that guy just trying to fuck his cousin!
It's like, what the fuck? Of course. But, yeah.
All right, final question. Oh, God, where's my email at? Do you think that David Lynch has ever eaten a bug on purpose? Guaranteed, yes, all the time. I feel like he does that, like, not just because there are tons of people in the world that eat bugs, like, that's fine, but also David Lynch probably thinks it's funny.
You know how, like, some people see a spider in the corner of the room and they'll instantly, like, get up and, like, go kill it? He does that, but he just, like, eats it. He dunks him in his coffee. Just chows down on him.
He takes them and he freezes them as a nice little frozen treat for later.
Rolls them up into his cigarettes.
I also think that David Lynch eats like that. He goes, "Yummy!"
Probably. What a delicious meal. David Lynch.
David Lynch, classic. Okay, thank you for the questions, Pierre. But I think it is time that we talk about Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, starring the one, the only, Ben Guadagnaro!
The true star of Phantom Menace.
It was interesting watching these movies with Joe again, because he hasn't seen them since he was a kid. And he fell asleep during every single one of them. But Joe is at that age where he's become like a dad. Like, he's just like a dad. He just falls asleep during every movie we watch now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Joe, get some rest, dude.
All right. I feel
like maybe once a month I'll be watching a movie late at night and I'll kind of feel tired, but I don't ever fall asleep during movies. So I'm just like, He and Tay also falls asleep during a lot of movies too.
If I get tired, I'll turn the movie off.
Well, I just mean like when we're watching with people. I'm not going to just be like, "Okay, guys, I'm tired. Good night."
Oh, well, yeah.
I'll just go through it. But yeah, I love the prequels.
I like the prequels.
That's good, because I really... Man...
they've got their issues, but they're not as bad as everybody makes them out to be.
Like, I think one of the main things about it is, as a kid, our generation in general was so ingrained with, like, prequel stuff.
Yeah.
Because Star Wars was going nuts in the prequels. There was, like... 8 video games for every movie. Like,
yeah, Clone Wars in particular had that big era where they were doing a lot of like movie tie-in games.
I've probably played like 90% of them too. I was obsessed with I'm still obsessed with Star Wars, but I was playing like every video game, every single planet they go to. I was like, it's Utapau, it's Magneto, it's Felucia. I was just like, let's go. They knew all these so well from the original Battlefront 2. I remember I was obsessed with certain Jedi that had like 2 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, no, I figured that you just had gained knowledge of all these extra Jedi from the Clone Wars, so when I was going into the Clone Wars, I was like, I'm gonna get lots of like Kit
Fisto,
Plo Koon stuff.
I mean, you get an episode or two with them, but no, most of it is just like, I don't know where I got most of the information. Because even like I don't think Battlefront 2 has Plo Koon as a character. Probably. I think it's Ayla Secura and you have Kiadi Mundi, but I don't think you play as Plo Koon.
I think most of them just, their names are known because of like a guidebook or a data book that came out. Maybe the credits.
I don't know. But like Jarl Poof, Yaddle. Yaddle's only in episode 1. It's so sad.
Which one's Yaddle?
That's the female Yoda. She's on the council. She doesn't talk.
Female Yoda?
Yeah.
I've seen Phantom Menace so many times in my life, and this does not sound familiar. I wonder if when I see her...
Yaddle.
I always thought that was just Yoda.
That's just Yoda in a wig.
I never saw the hair. It was just... It was like the chair.
Yeah, no, that's Yaddle. I love Yaddle. She's in the new Lego Star Wars. You can randomly find her, and she's like, I'm Yaddle. Yeah, so episode 1. I also do. I love the world building the prequels do because they have a lot. They go so much places. They're a lot denser than the original trilogy.
Yeah.
I would even argue that they're much denser than the sequel trilogy.
Oh,
maybe not episode 9 because that's like
tried to cram.
They're like, we're gonna cram 5 movies in here, and they're all bad.
Yeah.
Watch, we're gonna rewatch episode 9 and be like, we get it now.
I mean, I think I understood what people liked about that movie when I made my satirical review of it on Letterboxd, where I did nothing but praise it and give it a 10 out of 10. Like, because, I mean, I see why on the surface level, like, why maybe, like, an average Joe would go see episode 9 and be like, well, I don't see what everyone's mad about. That was actually pretty good. But it's like, I don't know. Obviously, we're not talking about the sequels this week, though.
Oh, yeah.
Not yet, so we'll save that talk. But, yeah, the prequels. These movies got shit on real hard. I remember everyone in my family shit on these movies when I was a kid. So.
I honestly don't get it. Like, I get, like, not enjoying them as much, but, like, they're so, like, fun and grandiose. And
I understand, because there are a couple things that... One of which really bothers me. Some other things I'm willing to let slide. Like, the CGI at the time, not what it is now. And it's...
I feel like at the time, though, this was really good. Because a lot of this stuff is like...
While it was impressive for the time, it still looks very fake. So you always just have people who are like...
They should use puppets.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm always down for more puppets.
Mm-hmm.
But...
yeah, except for the Yoda puppet they had in that first one.
Yeah.
Looked so bad. So bad.
Yeah, I'm actually a proponent for CG Yoda for this prequels. For, like, the story they want to tell with Yoda. I think having him as a puppet for, like, his fight scenes would have been funny, but not very good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that they probably could have made a puppet design work and then done CGI for the fight scenes. Mm-hmm. But, just the design that they had for Yoda was, like, way too thin. It didn't look like Yoda.
He looked emaciated.
It looked like Yaddle without hair. So it was just always like, But, yeah, the CGI is really bad. And I don't think this is, like, a big problem in Phantom Menace in particular. I think it comes in particularly during Attack the Clones and bits and pieces of Revenge of the Sith. But there are some times where just the dialogue is, like, really clunky. And it's just like... McClunky. And it's just like... Oh, my bad. It's just like, like, every time I watch these movies, I'm just like, I really wish somebody had just, like, swapped some of this around. Like, but, yes. Aside from that, I think these movies are pretty decent. I wish they would show more of the Clone Wars, like, just as, I mean, obviously...
Because you only see the inciting incident and the the end.
Like, yeah.
The last, 2 days or 2 weeks or whatever.
And it's like, I mean, now that, obviously we have all this supplementary material now, but, assuming, let's go back to the day when it was just the canon 6, no other material wrestled its way in there, then it's like, you hear about the Clone Wars in the original, and it's not like they talk about them all the time.
Yeah, they're literally just like, I served with your father in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, but it just seems like it's going to be a bigger thing when they went back, but, it's just really, breezed over. And I see why they did that in terms of, how they structured these movies, but it's one of those things where it's just kind of it's kind of a bummer. But, yeah, Phantom Menace, everyone always complains about the trade routes thing. It's such, a small, it's literally just the setup, thing.
I think a lot of people don't like the politics of the prequel trilogy.
I mean, that's what's so strong about it.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think most of the political ends of it are really well written.
It's a big operatic scale, political drama about the fall of democracy.
And I think that's what was so intriguing to me about them in as a child, because I watched the original trilogy and I liked it, but the prequels were always they felt so much more grandiose on a macro level. The Death Star is one thing, but the trade routes and this big control of power and that was more interesting to me, because it was more in depth, and it just felt cooler to me as a concept than a big bubble that blows up things, which I do think it's a stronger basis at the very least.
Yeah,
for a big grandiose space opera. Episode 1 was probably my favorite as a kid, because even as a kid, I think that episode 3 just kind of always broke me. there's a lot of meme lines, but it's also a tragedy. It's really sad.
Yeah.
And I think, for the most part, episode 2 has a lot of really sad moments as well. Episode 1 does feel like the beginning of a fun little adventure for the most part until the very end. And it has a lot of fun, creatures and characters that I always really cared for as a kid. I love the pod racing scene.
Oh, yeah.
I know some people don't. Some people think it goes on for too long. I'm like, no! Give me more. Give me a 6-episode limited series about pod racing.
Yeah, no, I like the pod racing scene. I think it's a lot more dynamic and, cohesive than a lot of, the space battles that happen in most of, the Star Wars movies. Mm-hmm. So, I don't mind it.
And I think that, so going back to your comment on CG, I think that the environments kind of look clunky. But for the most part, I think main characters, CG-wise, look really good. At least in my opinion. Jar Jar looks fleshy, and he looks, unrendered when looking at him now. But I think he looks good. I think his movements look good. Mm-hmm. I think he interacts with things pretty well. I'm always wow, this movie's 20 years old. And I feel or 23 at this point. And I feel it holds up pretty well for, much better than any other movie using CG at the time. I'm trying to, I do think the companies that were doing this were doing it really fucking well. I think the CG in Lord of the Rings is also really good. Mm. But, looking at any other blockbuster around this time, I do not think I would have the same feelings for that.
Yeah.
But aside from, Jar Jar, I think, most of the creatures that are CG look good. I think Sebulba looks really good. And I love Sebulba's stupid design. I hate him. He's stupid. Yeah. I really like the design of most of the Trade Federation. Not super keen on their accents. I was maybe
the Viceroys are a little.
Maybe the Viceroys are simply played by people with thick accents. I'm these are played by white people.
Yeah.
British white people.
Yeah, no, it doesn't help bolster that, kind of racist alien thing that's kind of prevalent through all of Star Wars here and there.
Which, it's I honestly do not think it's intentional, because George has talked about, these things, and he seems like he just wants to make, a more inclusive story that has different, species and different races. And I'm George, my dear sweet buddy,
maybe cast people of color in your movie if you want to do that. Mm-hmm. But it's more like ignorance than hate, which I do think is better, even if it's slightly. But it's annoying to watch, especially because, like, in the third movie, there's a member of, I don't remember what the Viceroy's species is, but there's a member, and he's on General Grievous's ship, and he sounds kind of like a cowboy. They've just completely dropped his accent. He's like, oh no, they're on the ship now. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I wish they all sounded like that.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I've never really had an issue with Jar Jar's voice, because
I can see it, but it always struck me as unintentional. I don't think that was his intent to kind of like touch upon like that stereotype.
Yeah. Especially because I don't think people would be like, oh, all the Gungans sound like that. I'm like, that's not true. Like, no, Boss Nass kind of sounds like similar, but like the lieutenant doesn't. A lot of the other people don't.
I think people are talking about like their not their accent, but like the actual words they use, like the Wisa, the shit like that.
But I've never had as big of an issue on that. But it's also probably because I genuinely enjoy Jar Jar as a character. I think he is funny, but I also like characters that are always trying to do good and just happen to keep fucking up or be manipulated. I think Jar Jar's story is actually sad when you look at it. Like, he's legitimately just a guy. He keeps fucking up. He gets banished. He saves the day on accident. So then he's like put into a place of power and manipulated for years from that, to the point that he's the reason that the Chancellor has unlimited power. And then in canon, he's thrown out as a character and he's a sad old clown on an abandoned planet.
Oh, is that what?
Yeah, he's just like, he shows up in one of the Aftermath novels and he's just like trying to entertain kids and he's just like a sad clown. I'm like, I feel like that, after the hate that Ahmed Best got, to the point that he was like going to kill himself, writing his character like that he is still proud of, I feel like it's really fucked up to do. Like, it actively makes me not want to read those novels just because of that. Because I'm like, that's fucked up.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, yeah, it's
like, even if I know it's not intentional, but it just makes me not want to read those because it makes me feel kind of sick.
Yeah.
I feel like the main things that I just don't like about the prequels are just people's reactions to them. And it's all people's always reactions to Star Wars. I don't like episode 9, but all the people of color in that were harassed for episode 9. Oh. That's not great. That's not good. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
It's happened every single time that anyone of color or any woman is in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah. Aside from like Carrie Fisher, Natalie Portman, probably.
But yeah, even then, like Carrie Fisher's talked like in her memoirs, it's maybe not as big of an issue, but
and she also had shit in the movies that she didn't want to do. So it was like,
and it's just but I like Jar Jar. That's what I'm going to say. And I like, I guess going on to your thoughts on the dialogue, I think the dialogue works relatively well in the case of the prequels because almost all the characters we see are Jedi. And I'm fine with things sounding clunky and dumb and weird if Jedi are saying them. Because in my mind, whenever I watch these movies, I'm like, yeah, Jedi, they don't know how to fucking talk. They have no charisma. So I'm fine with that. I think it works less well when it's other characters they're interacting with, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I get it. I get where you're coming from as well. But yeah, episode 1 has just so many. It has Duel of the Fates, which I think is, if not the best Star Wars song, it's in the top 3.
I mean, yeah. Episode 1 also fucking made the mistake of introducing probably like 2 of the fucking greatest characters in the Star Wars canon just to like get rid of them immediately.
Which is Newt Gunray and Ben Quadinaros.
Yes.
Yeah.
Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn in particular. It's so interesting. And it's like, damn. I really hope that we get like a bunch of expanded canon around him. I know he's going to be in that cartoon or whatever.
He's going to have one episode, I think, about him. Because they're all...
Just give us a live action series on Qui-Gon.
Well, and there's a couple books in canon, I think. I think Padawan and Master and Apprentice both have Qui-Gon.
Yeah, I think Qui-Gon's probably barely in Padawan because it seems like Obi-Wan... To my understanding, basically, like, Obi-Wan's supposed to meet Qui-Gon, and he never fucking shows up, and he has to, like, basically go on an adventure.
Classic Qui-Gon.
And then I know Master and Apprentices.
Yeah, I've read some of that. I really like the interactions between the two of them, especially because, like, they're, at the point of that book, they're not getting along at all, to the point that, like, Qui-Gon's like, I should just give him to my master, because this guy's, like, too much of a rules stickler. And he still is in the prequel. But I do genuinely like Qui-Gon a lot, and I think Liam Neeson is so good as him. And I think that's actually one of the problems with the thing I was just talking about, how, like, a lot of the Jedi don't seem to have a lot of charisma, because Qui-Gon has so much charisma.
Yeah, but he's also, like, not the average Jedi.
Yeah, so I think it still kind of works in how I view the movies. But yeah, Qui-Gon fucks Shmi. Right? Like, do you feel that energy from them? Like, the way they look at each other, and, like, she randomly comes out and smiles at him, like, they fucked.
It strikes me as maybe Smee would want to, but Qui-Gon would be like, I've got some...
Qui-Gon would fuck. Shmi was hot.
I definitely don't think Qui-Gon, like, adheres to any Jedi, like, celibacy codes or anything like that, but... Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I've never really tried to read into it like that.
As a kid growing up, though, talking about Darth Maul, I always thought he was cool, but, like, I don't necessarily think he's one of the best characters until you get, like, expanded content for him. He's just kind of, I view him as kind of like Boba Fett. He, like, shows up, he looks really cool, and then he dies. I think he was cooler than that, though. Just because he looks so fucking cool, and he had a great, like, fight. He didn't just immediately die from Han Solo being blind. But I would say now, with supplemental material, I would say Darth Maul's probably, like, my third favorite Star Wars character.
Yes.
He's, like, so good. I think he's the most compelling villain, maybe in all of Star Wars, that I like. Maybe Thrawn.
I think I'll always hold Vader as, like, the top villain for me in Star Wars.
I mean, that's fair. I guess I would also maybe pick Vader.
Maul is...
I think most of the villains in here with, like, expanded material are so good.
Yeah.
Like...
Thrawn... I mean, the stuff I've read of Thrawn, he's got, like, some, like, kind of, like, sociopathic tendencies, but he doesn't strike me as a villain in the books I've read.
Yeah, I guess we would have to read Heir of the Empire, where he's, like, the actual villain.
Yes.
Well, he's more like an anti-hero, or he's just kind of a hero fighting for the wrong side.
Yeah. But... Yeah, fucking... Yeah, hopefully they do... hopefully they do that, like, Heir to the Empire kind of story, and, yeah, it'd be cool if they, like, transition that into canon. Like, in between 7 and 6.
Like, that could be interesting. Like, they could lead into that with, like, Ahsoka and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they could still have most of the, like, return. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I think that'd be, like...
I would probably prefer them to have more newer characters face him, rather than, like, hey, here's CG de-aged people. I'd probably just be like, yeah, just have Ahsoka and
I think
Din Djarin. And
maybe, like, an aged-up Ezra. Like,
that would... I need that.
Yeah. Maybe they'll bring in... I don't know if he's still alive in canon. I actually have never actually come across this character in canon, but Kanan? Yeah, maybe they can bring him in. I don't know. He's probably dead by the way that you're looking at me, so...
No.
No? Okay. I'll watch Rebels eventually.
It's so good.
Yeah, instead of rewatching all of Clone Wars, I found a 9-movie edit. So I'm gonna
That sounds sick as hell.
Yeah, so I'm gonna check those out. I'm like kind of partway through the first one because I've been kind of watching it because you can tell where the episodes end still, but it's just they kind of put together because it's like obviously they'll spend 30 minutes on like these two subplots and then it'll like swap over to a different two subplots, so it's like okay, cool. So I just kind of paused it after the second one, but yeah, they're all like it's like 9 2-hour movies. So
also, real quick, last thing I guess I'll say on episode 1, I think Jake Lloyd plays a 10-year-old or a 9-year-old pretty well. Like, he feels like a 9-year-old. Maybe you don't want a 9-year-old Vader to be jubilant and like enjoy life and like have hope.
I think it's a good contrast for his
I do too. But I like, why were people so mean to this child?
Because
like Jake Lloyd has spent so many years in and out of like mental institutions because of the horrible PTSD he got from them. Like it's sickening. It's really gross.
Yeah, no, those fucking, especially like those early like fandoms, just I don't think a lot of people fucking realized what they were doing, unfortunately, when they would just openly bash these people, because it's like, yeah, but I'm sure some of them probably did. Just like, fuck that kid, you can fucking hear me shit talk him. But
yeah, I don't. This isn't my favorite of the prequels, but I really, really love this movie. I really just have a blast every time I watch it. I love the spaceship designs in this too, like the Naboo Starfighter.
Yeah,
is classic. I really like the Trade Federation's like dropship things. I like the fold up droid vessels.
Yeah,
it's just like I think the design of stuff is good in the original trilogy, but I think it's like on crack in the prequels. It's so, like every droid design I'm in love with pretty much.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of good ones.
And a lot of the planets designs I really like. Like, yeah, Naboo Fields just looks like the window wallpaper. Like, that looks pretty rough CGI. But Theed in general, I love the design of Theed. And Coruscant, the horrible hellscape city. Love that place. Horrible. Horrifying.
Coruscant's like the coolest. And I'm excited because I think like a large chunk of Andor is supposed to like kind of be...
Yeah, I'm really pumped for Andor, just like in terms of world building. I do think like they gotta start doing some world building in between 6 and 7 though. Like that the sequel, if they made the sequels, that was them. They need to like give some effort into it. I guess the newest novel, Shadow of the Sith, outside of Padawan, that bridges some gaps. It's about like Lando and Luke in between 6 and 7. They go on like an adventure together, and apparently it's really good.
Yeah, no, I heard about that. Like something about them looking for like fucking. I guess I don't want to get into spoilers, but look for somebody's parents.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Yeah, Phantom Menace is fun. Apparently this is like the first movie I ever saw in theaters. I don't remember it.
You were 2.
Yes, but apparently I was quiet the whole time and didn't cry, so...
That means it's a great movie.
Yeah.
You were enthralled.
And then one of the
Your first memories is Rats Tyrell burning up in the Boonta Eve classic.
Apparently it was a double... I don't know if it was a legit double feature or if my parents just went back to back, but... Apparently they also saw the remake of The Haunting alongside it.
Owen Wilson?
Yes.
That's the only version of The Haunting I've seen.
Really?
Yeah. And I've seen it like 8 times because I had it on DVD.
Yeah.
And I remember it really scaring me when I was like 6.
I remember thinking the part where he gets hit by the thing is really funny.
But Owen Wilson gets hit by the thing, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Is Liam Neeson in that?
I think he might be.
Hold on, hold the phone.
Liam Neeson.
I think he's like the main like.
Yeah, he's like the
dude that brings them there or something.
I don't know. I haven't. Like I watched it once when I was a baby, and then I watched it like another time.
Yeah, like, Dr. David Merrill, Liam Neeson.
Shit. Yeah.
Well, now we got to watch that.
Yeah, the true double feature. But yeah, and then one of my earliest like actual like. Going to the theater memories, aside from that, is probably either Grinch which I've told that story on the podcast. But yeah, that I freaked the fuck out when he was like in the mailroom. I was like, the Grinch. I was like, oh! Like I could not. My parents had to take me home. I started screaming.
There was a little girl watching E.T. with us, and when E.T. like dies, I thought she was gonna start crying.
Yeah,
she's like, "Oh no!" And I'm like, "No." But then I looked over, and she didn't actually seem to care. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I feel like I was gonna cry more.
She hears you just like, just starts a chain of it. But, fucking, yeah, Phantom Menace. You would give this a 9. A 10?
Yeah, I'm still there. I think you're at a 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about Attack of the Clones, which is the longest of the prequels. It's like 2 minutes longer. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
And I think that its biggest weakness is it feels longer. There's so much stuff they do, and I love this movie. I still really enjoy this movie, but they do a lot. Obi-Wan has his whole detective side quest, which is cool. I like it, but I think maybe it's a little bit too long.
Yeah, I don't even necessarily think it's too long. I just think the way that they kind of like intersplice it makes it feel...
That might be it. They might have just needed to keep them going a little longer before cutting, because I feel like cut every 6 minutes.
Yeah, when he actually gets to Camino.
Yeah.
Camino acids. When he gets there, I feel like it cuts away probably a few times, so you just feel like you're in Camino with him.
Well, I think we could have probably just had it work, or just boop.
Yeah. I think I'm on record on this podcast of saying this is one of my least favorite fucking movies.
Like Star Wars movies, or just in general?
Just in general.
Wow.
I always badmouth this as being
Is that you still there?
No, I'm not still there.
You softened up on it?
I've softened up on it. All this supplementary Star Wars material has made me soft.
I feel like this is going to be my most controversial movie, because I'm going to be defending so many things in this. Yeah. I do not think this is as good as for 1 or 3, at all.
Yeah.
But, I guess first thing I'm going to go ahead and defend, Hayden Christensen's romance arc would have worked on me. That's all I'm going to say. I think most of it is fine.
Okay, here is what...
I think he's hot as hell, too, so...
Here is what I will say on Hayden Christensen's romance arc. I hate the dialogue for a lot of it. I don't think it's good, and I don't think that the excuse that he's it's his first love, I think that carries it so far. But, goddamn, some of the shit that just comes out of his mouth is just the goofiest, oh my god, I hate this lines.
Maybe it's because when I'm thinking about men I'm attracted to, I like ones that are goofy and kind of dumb. And I think that really plays into it. And yeah. I think most of his dialogue is silly and overly serious, but also sentimental and endearing to me. I get it, but...
Yeah. In terms of the functionality, I think it's fine. I get the whole forbidden love thing, and I like that aspect. There are even, parts of it that I like. I like that scene when they're about to go out on Geonosis, and, they basically, Padme is all right, we're about to die, so who cares?
I do think that out of the prequels, I have the most problems with the dialogue in this movie.
Yes.
Especially when looking at the romance stuff. I don't have an issue with most of it. The sand line, I think, is fine. I
think it's fine until he gets to the point where he's but it's
not like you.
It's not smooth like you.
That's fair.
That part makes me...
But, the actual sand line, I'm this is fine. Yeah, he's talking about his trauma from living on a horrible desert planet in comparison to her.
It's not the rough course gets everywhere part of that line that bothers me. I think that part is fine. And if it was just that, it would be fine. And maybe even if it was just,
But not like you. Or
but not like you, I'd be
Cool, that's fine.
Whatever, it gets the point across. But when it's like not smooth like you, it just comes across as just cringe. It makes me cringe.
I think that like there's an interesting thing in that line though, because it's directly like analyzing the differences between their childhoods. Again, because obviously they do that in episode 1, where she comes and he's a slave. But it's like bringing that back. And then I do think it's like but not like you, and the try and go back to the romance. I think it kind of interrupts the point that the previous line was trying to make. I think the sand is rough is fine. I think that line's fine. But I do agree that together, I'm like, that doesn't fly well with me.
Yeah. But, yeah. So I guess...
But I will say, I think Hayden Christensen's a really good actor. And I think he really, really does try in these movies. And I think he's good. I think he's a good fit. I always read all the stuff where he's like, yeah, I watched the original trilogy all the time, and I was just trying to replicate like James Earl Jones' like way of delivery. And I get that. Like he like is stilted in a way that feels intentional. So I like most of his delivery I'm fine with. And I think Natalie Portman's just phenomenal. So I think most of her lines just work. Like because she's so good. Like things that might not work for some, I'm like, this is fine. Yeah. The same thing with like Ewan McGregor. I'm like, those are all fine. That's good.
Yeah. He's always got a few clunkers that really stick out, but he carries it for the most part. He's got enough of that Ewan McGregor charisma where it's like, okay.
There is some very funny moments in this movie that are just kind of out of character. I love the part where at the beginning he just fucking jumps out the window to jump on that droid.
Yeah.
He's like, don't try anything stupid, Anakin, and then just fucking jump.
Yeah. Just later, Anakin jumps out of a car. I hate when he does rash shit like that. It's just like...
But I think it's also kind of in character for an Obi-Wan because he's constantly like, Anakin, you have to... Anakin, no! Yeah, and then he's doing the same fucking shit.
It's kind of the, like, major character flaw of his that, like, feeds into why I think there's such a big, like, gap in between him and Anakin is because, like, I feel like Obi-Wan is always kind of, like, telling him not to do things with, like, a wink, but Anakin never sees the wink. So he just is always like, Obi-Wan just doesn't understand and he's trying to control me. Like, clearly, Obi-Wan, like, knows about Padme the whole fucking time. Yeah. And it's like, don't let your, like, but also, like, he's not gonna, like, rat him out or anything.
And I think there is a bit of dialogue in both these movies that really does fit this very well. Because Anakin is always talking to Padme about how Obi-Wan to him is like a father to him. Mm-hmm. And he's like, he's taught me everything I know. And Obi-Wan does not see it that way, though. He's constantly talking about how he's a brother. And that's the exact same thing. If Qui-Gon had trained Anakin, he would have been, more lenient, obviously. But he also would have treated him like a son. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the big issue, that the failure there is Obi-Wan, he wasn't ready to train someone. Like, Obi-Wan was thrust into this position because the Jedi Council didn't give a shit. Yeah. And, like, the prequels are sad because the Jedi Order is in full disarray because they all fucking suck. They're all just like, no, bottle up your emotions. No, we're not going to be very nice to you. No, we're not going to save your mother. It's just constantly no's in Anakin's face, and no one is there to protect him. Mm-hmm. Except Obi-Wan. But Obi-Wan's not giving him the guidance he feels like he needs.
Yeah. No, he's always kind of standing in the middle of the doorway between the two. Not quite fully.
And so I think that, like, while individual pieces of dialogue might not work, I think the writing in general, like the story arcs and the character development, I think is so fucking good in the prequels.
I 100% agree. In fact, I'd go as far as to say, like, I mean, personally, if you, like, strip it away from, like, the dialogue and the CGI and, like, the presentation of the movies, if you just take it, like, the story itself, I think it's, like, probably, like, in conjunction with the original trilogy, like, all 6 of them together, I think it's, like, one of the greatest stories, like, fantasy stories of all time.
So that's why I do want to read the novelizations, because I think that some of those things might be fixed, and that's what I've heard. I've heard, like, the third novel, the Revenge of the Sith novelization, is, like, the best Star Wars book ever written.
Yeah, I've heard pretty good things about it.
I've heard really good things about Episode 9's novelization, though, so I'm like,
Yeah.
How do they fix that one?
But there's also some inconsistencies in those ones, because, like, apparently, like, Rey meets Poe at, like, the end of Seven's novelization, and then they, like, have to, like, oh, wait, never mind, that didn't happen, when eventually it's like, oh, yeah, these characters hadn't met on screen. Better address that. But, yeah. Attack of the Clones. Let me think. Yeah, the stuff on Tatooine, that's all really good.
The same thing. I don't have a real issue with, like, the women and the children line. With the, like, I think it's pretty sad. Like,
yeah, no, that's
pretty horrifying. I think Hayden does a good job with that delivery. Anytime he's, like, really emotional, I think he does a great job.
Yeah, no, that never struck me as a scene that was, like, goofy or bad in any way. Like, let's see. Maybe a little bit Natalie Portman's reaction, because he's telling him all this awful shit, and she's got this, like, look on her face like, oh my god, he's so fucking hot.
And I'm like, I was kind of a little similar though watching this one.
Yeah.
Damn! But Hayden Christensen really just, like... Hinata got so into Star Wars because Hayden Christensen's so hot.
Yeah.
Because this was before episode... She watched them for the first time right before, like, leading up to episode 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she thought, you know, she thinks Adam Driver's probably more attractive. She's in love with Adam Driver. But Hayden Christensen, Jesus Christ. Especially in episode 3, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like, he's literally on fire.
Yeah, I think...
Got him.
I think how he looks now is pretty...
Yeah, I think he's aged really well, and that's because he got out of the stress, and he's like, I'm gonna go farm. I'm a farm now.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Fucking... but yeah, let's see... Trying to think of other things that I really like from this one. I think Geonosis in general has some cool designs. I think the CG definitely gets more wonky in there because there's so many, like, fully CG areas. But I think it's fun. It's a fun area. The same thing I would say for, like, the Geonosis arena. Like, that seems very fun to me. Yeah, I like the arena. I think the droid assembly factory bit probably goes on a little
long, yeah. Like, I do think this movie does not need to be the longest. I think it could have been about 2 hours.
Like, probably like 5 minutes worth of content of C-3PO going, oh no, my head is on the wrong droid.
Yeah, not a fan of C-3PO ever, but he's okay in the prequels. He's not as much of a dickhead.
I like him in the original trilogy when they're just like, shut up. Will somebody shut him off? Fucking...
Yeah, I think Han Solo really carries the interactions. He's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
The fun fact, that wasn't in the script. That was just Harrison Ford getting...
He just hated Anthony Daniels.
Shut up. I don't care. I'm gonna be in every single Star Wars movie. Cool. I don't care.
Cool. I don't give a shit. I don't want to be... I'm gonna go be in Indiana Jones again.
Yeah. Oh, man. I hope they drop a trailer for that fucking 5th one here soon.
By the time it comes out, it's going to be like 106.
I mean, supposedly they already wrapped up filming for it, I heard.
Is it James Mangold? Is he doing that one? Or who's doing it?
I'm not sure who the director is off the top.
I want to say at least one point it was James Mangold.
Isn't Mads Mikkelsen supposed to be in it? That's what I heard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's James Mangold. So the guy who did Logan and, like, Walk the Line.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I mean,
he's a good director.
Yeah.
I remember I watched the movie Identity a lot as a kid. It was on TV all the time, and I thought that movie was great.
Let's just watch Indiana Jones next week. Okay.
I was thinking about doing it after, but we gotta finish it. We can't just watch the original and the prequel.
I mean, we could.
Tina Taya's like, you don't have to do it. I'm like, no, we gotta do it. I feel like it's been 3 years. I feel like I need to conquer this.
I know. I just watched Force Awakens and Last Jedi not too long ago, though. Like,
you don't even need to watch them again,
man. I probably do. I watched them pretty split apart.
Oh, okay.
My roommate kept walking out in the middle of them, so it was just like... So it'd be like we watched Force Awakens. Like, we watched Force Awakens in 2 nights, but like Last Jedi we watched like in 2 halves, like a week apart. So.
Man, I would hate doing that.
Yeah, it was just like...
I would have been like, hey, you're on your way home? Okay, I'm going to go rewatch the first half of The Last Jedi.
Yeah. But yes.
But I like Attack of the Clones a lot. I like Jango. I like Tamura Morrison as Jango. I like the space combat in the prequels a lot. Mm-hmm. I think the main fight between them is pretty good.
Double lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part's pretty cool.
Yeah. I love the look of the Kaminoans. They're weird and funky. I think most of the CG creatures are like make sense to me at least. Like I'm like, yeah, that would be hard to puppeteer. That's fine. Especially like the way they walk. I like the stupid like chairs that come down in Kamino. I just love the sets and the atmosphere of the prequels. They're fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Attack of the Clones is very good. But the weakest of the trilogy. And you would say it's enjoyable? You enjoy it now, maybe?
Yeah, it's decent. It's not bad. For Star Wars material, sorry.
You know, if you're watching those baby shit.
Well, it's not like the original trilogy. I'm just gonna say Star Wars, not a real Star Wars movie's come out since like 1983? 83, yeah.
And the second Ewok movie was the last Star Wars movie.
That was the last Star Wars movie.
The only 3 Star Wars movies I acknowledge are Star Wars Episode 6 and the 2 Ewok movies, because they all have Ewoks, and everyone knows only Star Wars movies with Ewoks count.
And you know what? I'll throw a half in there for the holiday special, because it's got that little Chewie in it.
Yeah, it's got Lumpawaru.
Lumpy.
He's in canon again.
No.
I think Lumpawaru is great.
I mean,
we should watch the holiday special.
We'll save it for Christmas. We'll watch it with the
We'll watch the edit I always watch that like takes out all the really racist chunks and gives subtitles to all the Wookiee stuff.
There we go.
Because it is just like 40 minutes of Wookiees going and I'm like, yeah, I guess I could kind of get a feel for it, but just 40 minutes of that is a little aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah. Just 40 minutes, huh?
Well, because they do cut to other things.
Yeah, it's a variety show.
Yeah. It's a little rough, but I enjoy it. All right, I think you're going to give this one maybe a low 6.
Yeah. A 10.
No.
9.
No.
8.
It was almost a 9. But I'm like, I was just trying to, I was like, okay, I gave A New Hope a 9. So I was like, would I want to watch this or A New Hope? To all these movies. I'm like, which one? And I'm like, do I think this is a better movie than New Hope? Episode 1? Yeah. But I'm weird. I'm a maniac. Okay. Oh, Star Wars Episode 3.
Can you answer this? I don't know if this is the case, if it's talking about like, I want to say there's a line when he's talking about the tragedy of Plagueis. Mm-hmm. And he brings up like basically like being able to like create life from the Force. Is he talking about like giving, basically like Force Ghost shit, like giving himself into the Force? Or is he implying that Plagueis is like Anakin's father, perhaps? Line?
In the original script, it was cut, so I do not consider it canon, because it's an idea they didn't want to go through with. Of Episode 3, they were pretty much going to reveal that Palpatine, with the help of Plagueis, made Anakin. I think current canon, Anakin is still like made of the Force. He was made from midichlorians. Yeah. And technically you could argue that it's because of Palpatine, but it's more like how in the sequels they talk about, every time there's a dark side, a light side has to rise to defeat it. It's kind of like that. Like Palpatine was getting so strong that the light side, like the Force pretty much made Anakin. I think that's what current canon is yet, which I think is a better idea, because at the end of the day, Anakin is the one to bring balance to the Force. Anakin is the one to defeat Palpatine. He does fulfill the prophecy.
In the most ass-backwards way.
Yeah, yes. But he does it. Like, the prophecy technically fulfilled. And I think that's a better ending to the prophecy, because most prophecies are, like, fucked.
Yes.
Yeah. But I have not finished the Plagueis novel yet.
Which is non-canon.
It's non-canon. Because it was written, I think, like a year after this movie or something like that. I don't know what to think of that book. Because I think in general, I like a lot of the ideas in it, but there's a lot of fluff that I'm not a huge fan of, and they really try to like tie in everything, which I'm fine with them doing that, but I don't necessarily want it all done in the same book. Because I'm like, oh, this chapter, oh, we're building the pod racing court on Tatooine. Oh, this chapter, oh, we're buying a bunch of Naboo plasma to kind of make the Trade Federation want. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, I want a little more Plagueis and Sheev in it, while it's more like them just doing things that affect the prequels, which I'm fine with, but it's a little too much. Too little time. Mm-hmm. Anyway, episode 3. I think is the best of the trilogy. I think it might be like my second or third favorite Star Wars movie in general. I absolutely love this movie. I think I love the places they go. I love Utapau. I love General Grievous's ship. I love the little slices of things we see, like of Magito and Felucia. I love Coruscant as always. It's great. It's weird. The Jedi Temple's awesome. I think Mustafar is really cool. The horrible lava planet.
Yeah.
They used to apparently be like an oasis until some horrible... Yeah. I don't know what the fuck they did to it.
Apparently it's in sequels. Which
it's in episode 9.
Yeah, I had never...
The like horrible forest he walks through, that's Mustafar apparently.
Yeah, apparently it started healing itself. I had never made that connection the one time I saw the movie, so I was like,
that's fair. They don't do a very good job.
Yeah, they go to like 50 different fucking planets in the movie.
And I'm like, cool, I love planets, but maybe spend a little more time...
Yeah, it's
but they're like, no, but we're gonna spend 10 minutes on this festival.
Yeah, we'll talk about episode 9 next time, maybe. Anyway.
But episode 3, I love it. I love General Grievous's design. What an iconic design! I remember I had a toy of him that his arms would do that. It was so sick.
Yeah, I love that
stupid wheel.
I love that like effect where he just like his chest catches fire and his eyes start to smoke. Yeah. I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's really sick. Yeah, I think this movie's brilliant. I think the dialogue's stronger in this.
Yeah, there's only one line that comes to mind where I'm like, I fucking hate that. And it's no, because I am so in love with you part. It's like, oof. But aside
it doesn't, I don't even necessarily think the line itself is... like the worst. I just think the delivery and the timing is really weird.
Yeah,
it's like it's too sudden, and it's like it's not. It's just weird all around. Like the way it's edited, just everything. I'm just like, what? It feels like it skips at like 5 seconds and then it goes into that. I'm like, what's going on?
It's got a weird pacing for sure, but. Yeah, no, this is definitely the best of the prequel trilogy. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who's seen the prequel trilogy who probably wouldn't say that. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they exist, but I think the majority of people fucking love Revenge of the Sith. And I really respect it for a lot of reasons. I like that it's like, because like Star Wars, big kid franchise growing up when we were kids, and it's like you get this third and final movie, and it's like not Return of the Jedi. It's the complete polar opposite. Yeah. It's even darker than Empire. Like,
it's all about failure, and it's just like episode 5. Yeah, you lose a hand, somebody gets like, but there's still hope at that. Episode 3, literally, like, yeah, it ends with the kids being born, but for the most part, it's a downer.
Yeah,
everyone's going into exile. Tens of thousands of Jedi are dead. Mm-hmm. In your mind, you think, yeah, there's like 3 alive Jedi. Later, it's revealed like maybe like 5 more, but I'm like, what? That's maybe 10 Jedi out of 10,000? That's not great.
Yeah, everybody. I love that the common complaints like, they keep finding new Jedi.
I'm like, there's 10,000 of them. I'm sure a couple of them could have escaped. What do we got? We got Kanan. We got Yoda. We got Obi-Wan. We got maybe Quinlan Vos. Maybe?
The Softy brother from the beginning.
The Softy brother! Josh. I think it was Josh, or maybe it was Benny. I can't remember.
I think it's Benny.
Is it Benny?
I'm pretty sure it's Benny.
Ahsoka doesn't count.
You said, who's the Fallen Order guy?
Cal Kestis. Wow, so many.
Yeah. And it's like, I get it when it's like the new media comes out and there's like a Jedi protagonist.
But the thing is, when they had the EU, there was like 1 billion of them.
Yeah.
But the EU was cool.
The EU was perfect.
You know what? The stupidest thing in episode 9 was from the EU. Palpatine returning from with a Force body was a thing in the EU.
Yeah.
He just kept dying and jumping in new bodies.
Honestly, here's what I will say on that matter, though. While I don't like it, I could have maybe accepted it had the execution been fucking different.
That's fair.
If it hadn't started with, "The dead speak!"
Somehow, Palpatine returned. It's like... cool. Great. Maybe if they had even made it a mystery throughout episode 9 where it gets revealed, like maybe like a quarter of the way through the movie, but no, it's just like right off the get-go. Just like, yep, Palpatine's back, baby. But, yeah, anyway, we're not talking about episode 9.
We just can't.
The common theme of this episode... Shut up.
Because we know it's coming. We're trying to... Yeah. Because episode 3 and episode 6 are such great end caps to their trilogies. It's just so sad.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, great.
Because it would be one thing if I was a hater of the first two, but episode 8's my favorite fucking Star Wars movie. And it's just like, ah!
Yeah. No, I could see where the frustration comes in. I really like, I think out of the sequel trilogy, my favorite is 7. And I like 8 quite a bit. But yeah, 9, not a fan. Not a fan. And we'll get into why.
Yeah. Next week. Okay, no more episode 9 talk.
Yeah. It's done. We're talking about episode 3.
Talking about episode 3, which I think is really, really fucking good. I love the dialogue between Anakin and Obi-Wan. I think the final fight between them is so fucking good. I think it's the best fight in Star Wars. Like, episode 1's fight's really good.
Yeah.
I think there's some cool fights in the original trilogy, but they're more slow and methodical. Yeah. I think thematically they work. And I think there are some good fights in the sequels. I think the throne room fight in episode 8's fantastic. But episode 3 is just so... The final fight, to me, is just so, like, harrowing and emotional and just fantastic.
Yeah, I know a lot of people say that they don't feel the weight of it because they feel like... throughout the trilogy, Anakin and Obi-Wan don't get a whole lot of screen time together, so you don't feel their friendship. I don't think you necessarily need to. Like, I don't think we need to see every, like, facet. I think that between the end of episode 2 and, like, the beginning of episode 3, you get enough of their dynamic. Granted, in both of those cases, you do get, like, a little bit of, like, hearsay, like... Remember this adventure, Master? Oh,
and I'm like, I'm fine with that.
Oh, yes.
I think it's just the delivery is so good for me. Like, oh, don't the business on Cato Nemoidia doesn't count.
Yeah,
which is what the new book's about.
Oh, I see.
The business on Cato Nemoidia.
Is that the name of the book?
No, it's called Star Wars Brotherhood.
Oh, okay, I was going to say that would be great if that was just the name.
Star Wars: The Business on Cato Nemoidia. That would have been a good name.
But, yeah, I think...
I forgot to talk about Dexter Jetster in episode 2. He's fantastic. I love him.
Yeah. He's
got a mustache.
He does.
Okay, back to episode 3.
Yeah. Maybe he'll show up in Andor or something.
I would fucking love that.
Just Andor needs to go get some information real quick, so he goes...
I hope he doesn't. I hope he's actually just there as a diner.
Yeah, just
and he's like, "Hey, welcome to my shop. You want some Jawa juice?"
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, episode 3 is good. I think there's a lot of great shit in it. I think fucking Ian McDiarmid he kills it.
Yeah, like
he kills it throughout. Like every time he plays Palpatine, even in fucking episode 9. It's like, all right, at least he's having fun.
Yeah. But that's the thing I like about his role so much is he feels like he's having so much fun, which I think works as a character like Palpatine because he's a fucking maniac.
Yes.
Yeah. Power! Like, that's fun.
Yes. Yes. Do it.
Yeah.
Just like...
Kill him.
Right there.
Kill him now.
Right there, it'd be like, you're the Sith Lord.
Yeah. And he's like, leave him, Anakin. He's like, he's right here. He's just on the ground. We just have to pick him. He's like, we won't make it. He's like, our fate will be the same as his. That's a good line.
Yeah. God, I honestly wonder what the fucking timeline would have been like had Qui-Gon survived. Because there's that line in like episode 2 where he's like, Dooku's like, oh, Qui-Gon would be with me if he knew the truth. And it's like, maybe he would. He wasn't the most, like... I mean, I don't know if he would have gone that route necessarily, but...
I could see Qui-Gon leaving the Jedi Order.
Yes.
Like Count Dooku did, but maybe not fucking, joining the Separatists.
Yeah, probably not. But, and yeah, so I think that would have been interesting, especially like with since like Palpatine filled in that kind of father void that Obi-Wan was reluctant to, which I read the in between 1 and 2, the Obi-Wan and Anakin comic in between, which dives into that. I think that's the most interesting aspect about that comic is like the beginning of Anakin and Palpatine. The Obi-Wan stuff is kind of like, it's just kind of like, feels like a random war mission, kind of like you would find in Clone Wars. But anyway, Revenge of the Sith, very good, very good. I'm trying to think of other things that I really like from this one.
This, I think, has my favorite opening from any. The space, I think most of the CG is fine for me or enjoyable. I think the CG in episode 3, the beginning, is so fucking good.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
It looks even so good. Like today.
Yeah.
Like it's 17 years old. I think it looks better than most like MCU things or like most like newer Star Trek. Like it looks so good.
That camera is doing a lot of like dynamic movements. It's like changing all over.
Like for being fully like a CG experience, pretty much. It has such dynamic camera angles and stuff. It feels like you're actually there.
It's rendering a lot. Like there's a full ass space war that you're just seeing the whole thing of. So I think it's very impressive.
And that one, it gets you in the mood for a Star Wars movie so well. Like, the other openings are fine. Like, the opening with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, I think is fun. Like, they're like, well, we're the business. What is episode 2's opening? Are they just on an elevator? No, that's not.
That's when you meet their characters.
Yeah, but it's the bombing, right, of the ship. It's Padme's attempted assassination, which I think works fine for like thematically, but it doesn't get you in the mood like episode 3's does.
Yeah,
I guess episode 4 has a pretty cool, iconic opening, but like blood pumping, adrenaline, time for fucking Star Wars. That's episode 3 right there.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think. That's really good. Yeah, I don't know. I generally like pretty much the whole movie.
I love
Mace Windu's got probably like the most content out of any of them.
Yeah,
I mean his asshole's kind of or his character is kind of an asshole. I think he's kind of a justified asshole in like the context of like this situation, but it's like, yeah, had he been a little fucking nicer to Anakin and not so fucking standoffish, he might have not turned to the dark side like that. But yeah, love Mace Windu's stuff in this movie. Mustafar is fucking great.
I love the Order 66 scenes in general. I think are really well executed. They're sad.
When Plo Koon dies, I just always think of that line where he's like, "You're not expendable to me."
That line's so good. And that's one of the episodes people think are skippable in Clone Wars. That's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, no, it's one episode. It's not like it's a multi-episode arc or anything. It's a must watch. Yeah, Order 66 is super fucking sad. The Youngling scene is super fucking just sad. Fucking.
I always think about that story that the kid who played that one kid was like, Master Skywalker, that Anakin, or that Hayden Christensen, when the kid he ignites his lightsaber and the kid stands back, during filming Hayden was just like, boo! So the kid, whoa! The kid was just actually scared for Anakin going, boo!
Yeah.
That's classic.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I probably would have done the same thing. But, yeah, fucking... Yeah, I really don't have a whole lot to say on this one. I'm trying to think of, like... Because, I mean, it's pretty simple, pretty direct. Anakin has dreams similar to, like, when his mother died, where he's like, alright, Padme's gonna die during childbirth. Palpatine knows this, and
he's like, I can save her.
Yeah, I can teach you the abilities to save her through the dark side of the Force, which the Jedi will not teach you. And he's basically just kind of falls for that. And then, Order 66 is run
Everyone
through.
Fucking dies.
And most of the Jedis are fucking killed off. And
I like how that the fucking movie even sets up that other Jedi could survive. Like, Obi-Wan goes through a huge quest to be like, hey, don't come here if there's any remaining Jedi. But then people are like, how'd they know? I'm like, what do you fucking mean? Have you not seen the fucking movie?
yeah.
It's in the movie!
Yeah. I mean, I know, like, Obi-Wan and Yoda are, like, two pretty, like, prolific Jedi, but it's like, they survived. There are other Jedi.
Yeah.
They're clone troopers. Like, yes, clone troopers with the element of surprise and numbers could take out some Jedi, but Jedi. But
what about the Jedi that was probably like in the bathroom and comes out and everyone's dead?
Yeah.
Like, oh.
No, exactly.
Good thing I had Taco Bell.
Mm-hmm. But fucking good stuff. Good stuff. Revenge of the Sith.
I love the line in the Senate when he's turning into the Galactic Empire, and Padme's like, so this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause. Yeah, I think that's a good line.
Yeah, that is a good line. I like...
There are some banger lines in these movies. Like, there's some clunky ones, but there's also some really cool lines.
Mm-hmm. I like the end when we get, like, that jump forward to, like... I don't know if, like, at the time they were just, like, and immediately... they began works on the Death Star, because obviously, like, in modern canon, that happens, like, quite some years later when they actually, like, get around to developing it, and Tarkin's there.
Yeah.
And it's like, alright, I don't know if he would be there yet.
Well, I mean, Tarkin was already, the worst in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I forgot he was in the Clone Wars.
He's like, hey, guys, I'm evil! But I work for the Republic right now.
You all really seem to like that Ahsoka Tano. I don't. I think that she needs to be reprimanded for bombing the Jedi capital.
Man, I mean, that's a good thing. He was trying to save her.
He was. And honestly, yeah, he did.
Good job, Tarkin.
She probably...
I'm going to write a new novel about Tarkin where he's secretly undercover.
Yeah, she probably would have fucking died. I mean, maybe not. I mean, there's that huge prevailing question of, like, if she hadn't left... Anakin probably wouldn't have turned to the dark side, which I think is kind of up in the air. I think it's dependent on a lot of stuff. But I think she probably would have tried to talk him out of it and probably would have done
She might have gone to Mustafar with him. Yeah. With Obi-Wan.
She probably would have done a much more effective job at communicating because she was always better at that than Obi-Wan was. But
man, Ahsoka's such a good character.
Yeah, Ahsoka is fucking great. I'm excited for her show to come out. I'm going to try to watch through Rebels before then because like I said, I'm watching these 7 Clone Wars movies because then the last 2 are just like the last season. And it's like, well, I'm just going to watch the last season then because... Is
it just cutting out the 2 episodes with the sisters that everyone hates? There's 2 episodes or 3 episodes that everyone hates from the final season. Like, calm down, they're fine.
I don't know. I know the second to last one is called The Bad Batch. Yeah. Which I think is just the Bad Batch arc. Yeah. And then
it's the Siege of Mandalore. Oh, yeah, so they probably cut out that.
Yeah.
Which I think is weird because, they just feel like regular Clone Wars episodes are not as tight or as effective, but they're fine.
Yeah, 'cause the first movie is the Jabba the Hutt, stuff with the baby.
Thrata.
Yeah.
Classic.
The second one, I don't know what that covers. It's called Tides of War. And then the third one is called, it's another just war title. And then, the fourth... I know the fifth one is, called Son of Dathomir, and that's when it starts getting into, the Darth Maul stuff. And 6 is, I don't know. I know 7 is, with the clone troopers and stuff, but okay. Anyway, 10.
Yeah, I really, really love this movie. I think I probably like Last Jedi and Empire more. Well, what if I rewatch Last Jedi now? And I'm like, I don't like this movie anymore. There's always a chance.
Honestly, I was having a really hard time connecting with it, knowing.
That's fair. But I'm pretty good at, just forgetting about what comes after, because I don't think that's fair to the movie itself.
Under the circumstances of how these movies came out, yeah, I guess that's fair. But had it actually been a planned trilogy, then it would have been.
Yeah, that's fair. But for now, I think it's probably my third favorite. I think you're going to give this one an 8.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a god. Cool. It's your choice. What are we doing next week, Thomas?
All right. I'll spin it, and I'll give you a choice between two.
Okay.
We can either watch the sequel trilogy, or we can watch Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No, I'm going to go with the sequels. We got to do it. I was thinking about, but I just watched Obi-Wan, and I'm just like, no, I can't put it off anymore. I got to do it.
Okay.
I got to do it for myself.
Let's get it out of the way, and then we can do
then we might do some other
or
stuff.
something.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching another exciting episode of Screen Weens. If you have a grandmother, tell her we love her. She's got a rockin' bod. Thomas has a big thing for gilfs. Send it to his address. Don't do that.
My address is
Don't tell your
4139.
I'm not going to cut it out if that's really your address.
Telemont Drive.
Is that true? Is that like the address from Twin Peaks?
No, I just completely made it up.
Okay, good. I don't have to cut that out.
I don't know if Telemont's even like a real thing.
I just need to make sure I don't have to cut anything out because I'm going to forget. All right. Goodbye, everyone.
May the force be with you.